हरे श्रीनिवास प्रसन्नवरदं ध्यायेत् प्रसन्नगुणपूरणं प्रसन्नवेङ्कटं वन्दे गुरुभावं पदाश्रये. We bow down to Prasanna Venkatadasaru, who always is in the dhyana and who always bows with devotion to his Bimba Murti, Sri Prasanna Venkata of the Hari Sarvottama, Hari Parabrahma, Hari Samararilla, Hariya ಹಿರಿಯರುಂಟು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹರಿಪಟ್ಟ ಗಟ್ಟಿದ ಅಮರರು ವಂದಿತರು ಆದರಿಸಿದ ಆದರಿಸದ ಅಸುರರು ನಿಂದಿತರು ಹರಿಯೊಲಿದ ಅರ್ಭಕರೇ ಕೀರ್ತಿಯುತರು ಹರಿಯನ್ ಅರ್ಚಿಸದ ವೃದ್ಧರೇ ಬಹಿಷ್ಕೃತರು ಹರಿಯವೇನ ಹರಿಯವೆನ ನಾಮವು ಅನಾಮವು ಅರೂಪವು ಗುಣದೂರ ಶ್ರೀ ಹರಿ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ವೆಂಕಟ ವರದ ಉದಾರ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ in this Suladhi, Paramatma's supremacy is highlighted. He is the most supreme. When we see that the world is filled with so many beings, and how is this being controlled? Who is the controller? What kind of attributes will he have? These are the things that we need to question ourselves with. And the Vedas proclaim that there is one God who is continuously glorified in the Vedas. He is the central theme of the Vedas. Adau Antecha Vishnuhu Sarvatra Giyati. Vishnu is glorified by all the other names that are there. There is Indra Sukta, Agni Sukta. In everything, the Agni word, we think that it might be that Agni which we see. But actual interpretation of the Vedas is that every word there is a epithet of Vishnu. So it has to be understood in that light. Here, Dasaru is giving us the methods of how to understand Paramatma as the supreme being. See, a supreme being means under his regime, people can prosper if they follow the rules. That is true of any regime, right? Any kingdom. If the king has set the rules, then those who follow it will be prosperous. Those who don't, they will be behind bars. So this happens with Paramatma's kingdom too. His kingdom is the entire universe filled with so many different types of lokas, different types of beings, their requirements, their subsistence, their actions, everything. And all of these are not under their control. Each being, Jiva, may have a body, but the body is really and truly not under their own control. It is under the control of Paramatma. So, under the control of Paramatma, we are doing everything. And if we understand that truly, then we are sure to prosper. So, in order to understand that, we have this Suladhi here describing it in a very close way, in a microscopic way. He is trying to teach us the concept of Hari Sarvothamatva, which is propagated as the main theme of the Vedas and which has been clearly stated by Acharya Madhva. We have all heard the Dhwani of Hari Sarvottama, Vayu Jivottama, Hari Sarvottama, Hariye Sarvottama. So Hari is the one and only one Supreme Lord. All the others are subservient to him. That is all the Devatas. So here in this, the great glory of Paramatma, who has the names as Anama, Arupa, Nirguna, these are all names that he has, or the gunas of Paramatma are known by these names, which are so contradictory to us. When we hear Anama, then we say, oh, he has no name. Arupa, then he has no Rupa, he is formless. So these kind of things are handled here by Prasanna Venkata Dasaru very nicely. In the first charana, he talks about the supremacy and he gives the introduction of these contradicting words, Anama, Arupa, and all that. And the second charana, he goes on to clearly explain what he means by Anama, what he means by Arupa, what he means by Nirguna. And then he says that these, all the people in the world, are having their work being done because of the Devatas. No? The Devatas are also glorifying him. They sing his praise. And that is also seen not just in the songs of the Dasas, but those have been derived from the Bhagavata, from the Ramayana, and other Pancharatra Agamas and Vedas too. So all those who are subservient to him are in great positions, exalted positions, because they know the truth. The being subservient is not like how we think about it in the world. Here, being subservient means acceptance of his rule, because there is no other choice that we have. Being under his control, and at the same time, he is being the benevolent Lord. He is not the tyrant, but he is the most pleasant and benevolent Lord. Let us look at the Suladhi now. We have read the first one. Hari, Sarvothamatva, Hari, Para, Brahma. So he is saying the word Hari. Actually, the word Hari signifies the Antaryami. That is what we discussed yesterday. Here also, Dasaru, in the last charana, he says, Siri Prasanna Venkata Varada Anantabida Varabimbottamanagi. So he is the Varabimba. Bimbottama means Kevala Bimba. For everyone, there is a Bimba. ಬಿಂಬರೆನಿಪರು ಸ್ವೋತ್ತಮರು ಪ್ರತಿಬಿಂಬರೆನಿಪರು ಸ್ವಾವರರು ಪ್ರತಿಬಿಂಬ ಬಿಂಬಗಳೊಳಗೆ ಕೇವಲ ಬಿಂಬ ಹರಿಯೆಂದು ತಿಳಿದು ಉಪಾಸನೆ ಮಾಡಿ. This is Jagannath Dasaru's words. So he is saying Bimbottamanagi means among all the bimbas, that is we have the Swotamas as our bimbas. Those Swotamas may have their Swotamas as bimbas, and it goes on till there is the Brahma Vayugalu who have Paramatma as their bimba. Paramatma has no bimba. He is the supreme personality who needs no controller, no antaryami. He is the magnificent personality. So now the last charana talks about the bimba. So the bimba murti is Hari. Here the theme of the whole Suladhi is the bimba, which is Hari. So Hari is Sarvottama. He resides inside the heart lotuses of everyone. And that's why that Uttama Shabda, Uttama means what? Greater, greatest. He is the Sarvottama means greater than everything else. Everything and every jiva is subservient to him. Hari Para Brahma. Why is he so great? For that he is saying Hari is Para Brahma. Brahma means Paramatma. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Shabdyate is a word, is a phrase that we can recollect from the Shrutis. So he is the Parama Atma. That's why he is Parabrahma. Means he is Antaryami. Hari Sarvottamanu, being the Antaryami, he dictates everyone. What can anyone do against him? He has to tell them what they have to do. He has to make them do what they have to do. So how can they do anything to usurp his supremacy, to usurp his throne, to usurp his sankalpa? Nothing anyone can do unless it is his wish. When he wishes so, then he can allow them to do it. He only has to make them do it. It is not that any evil can take place without Paramatma's sankalpa. It is his sankalpa, then only it can happen. That's why he is Parabrahma, he says. Sarvottama, because no one can do anything without his ajna. So everyone is subservient to him. Hari Parabrahma. How come he is so much like this? Then the word Brahma says, Brahma means Brahma. Brahma means completely full. What with he is full? Parabrahma. Para means Shrestha. Shrestha gunas. He is completely full of auspicious attributes. Hari Samararilla. Is there anyone equal to Hari? No, he says. There is no one who is equal to Hari. Why? Because of the previous thing we just now saw, that if anyone has to do anything, they need his support. They need his bembala. He does not need anyone's support for his identity, for his knowledge, for his pravritti. That is why he is Sarvottama. The Brahma Sutras declare that who is Sarvottama, who has his own identity. I mean, he can be as it is, he is there. We are not there as it is. Other jivas, they have this body and they identify with it. Okay, when the body is gone, what happens? Then the jiva is still there, and the jiva has to depend on the other shariras that are there in the srishti when he is there. When the jiva is in srishti, then the sukshma sharira is there, so he goes along with that to other places wherever he has to travel. And he doesn't know where to go also, the jiva. Paramatma, through Mukhya Prana, makes him travel everywhere, makes him or her. So the jiva is totally dependent on so many entities, so many things to have an identity also. And forget about before Srishti, what happened? That time the jiva had no identity, they're saying, because they were sleeping. They were in a state of stupor. They have no kind of knowledge that they exist also. Such is the level of the consciousness of a jiva. Unless Paramatma gives it that consciousness, it cannot exhibit it at all. Hari, so how can anyone be equal to him or be greater than him? No one can be. So that's why even Acharya Madhvaru in his shloka about Paramatma says that Rasoyo Ashtamaha, Paramatma's supremacy is described as the Ashtama Rasa. I mean, described with comparing. Because in the rasas, in the Indian system, we have the six rasas, Shad rasas. If there is no seventh rasa, how can there be an eighth rasa? Think about it, he says. The same way, if there is no equal to Paramatma, how can there be a greater entity than Paramatma? So, Prasanna Venkatadasaru, reviewing all this, he clearly declares that Hari Samar Arilla, Hari Hiriyaru Untelli, Hari Pattagattida Amararu Vanditaru. Whoever is being blessed by Hari and given the positions of superior jobs like Mukhya Pranadevru, Brahma, Saraswati, Bharatiyaru, Garuda Shesha, Rudra, all these entities or devatas are worshipped by other people. We worship Rudra as the Manobhimani, we worship Parvati as the um, giver of good Dampatya Sukha, as the giver of good speech. Hariyan Adarisada, Asuraru, Ninditaru. The Asuras, what they do not want to accept Paramatma's supremacy. And they always try to go against whatever has to be done. And so they are always Ninditaru means by the good people, they are not worshipped. They are not, in fact, they are not worshipped. They are even derided by the good people. Hari Oli Diruva Arbakare Kirti Utaru. He is telling any small child, okay, small child, what Kirti can it have? It has not done anything yet. Any Kirti means by the action of the person only we know what is their level of capability. So when the child is young, how will we know what is its capability? But he's saying when you see that Hari has graced that child, then that child is worth worshipping. Like Dhruva, Prahalada and others. They are full of the kirti that Paramatma has graced them. Hari and Archisada Vriddare Bahishkritaru. If there are people in the world who have become old, but they would have done so many things. But if they have not worshipped Hari, then they are not worth of any talk also. They are they should be kept out of the good company. Hariyan Hariyavena na Anamavu Hari Arupa Guna Dura Sri Hari Prasanna Venkata Varada Udara. He is telling Hariyave. Hari is like his Anam. He is known in the Vedas and Upanishads as one who has no nama. Anama, Arupa, Gunadura, Sri Hari. Prasanna Venkata Varada Udara. He is telling he is Prasanna Venkata Varada. Varada means who gives the varas or the who bestows boons on those who worship him. He is Udara. Here itself we can see the technique that Prasanna Venkatadasaru uses. He's saying that he is Anamavu and then he says Sri Hari. His name is Sri Hari. Anama, why he is called? Because a particular name does not fully describe him. If we say a word, that word fully it cannot encapture his gunas. And he has innumerable number of namas. All the namas are his namas only. And then Rupa. He has no Rupa. Then he says Prasanna Venkata as the Rupa. The Rupa that we see in Tirupati is Prasanna Venkata. So that Rupa is the Varada Rupa. He bestows the boons on those who come to Tirumala. He is called as Charanagata Vatsala, Karuna Sagara, Bhakta Vatsala, Udara. You don't have to give him so many things. If you give him one flower, like Gajendra gave only one lotus flower, he was bestowed with the bliss of moksha itself. So much of generosity you can see in this Lord, he says. He has everything, but he is not a miser. He will not enjoy everything on his own. He will give to others. And the more he gives to the anuyayis or his bhaktas, there is no korate of, or there's no lack of anything for him. He is completely full. Now he is describing those words that we just now used, anamavu, arupavu, gunadura. These three are very much contradictory in the sense that it is difficult to understand. So he has dedicated one entire charana to understand this. Ayyana nama vendare ananta namavu. Swanama villa higalla. He's telling, look at this. When I say anama, what do I mean by it? Says Prasanna Venkatadasa. He says that is Swami Ayyana Nama Vendare Ananta Namavu. How can I tell this is his name? If I say Prasanna Venkata is his name, then I am giving only one name to him. But if I say he is Anama, that means all the namas in the world belong to him, which is what the Veda says. And Acharya Madhva clearly he established that Sarva Shabda Vachyatva of Paramatma. Every word is a name of Vishnu itself. Even A, I, U, R, K, L, M, any one small syllable, one small sound, everything he declares is the name of Vishnu. It glorifies him. That's why he's saying, if I tell Anama, what do I mean by it? It is because he is having Ananta Namas. How can I tell that there is one name for him? Swanama Villi Higilla. Swanama Villa Higilla. When I say Anama, I don't mean that he does not have any name. I mean that he has Ananta names. That's what he says. And that is what the Vedas also say. Arupa Vendare Prakruta Rupa Swarupa Villa Higalla. When I say Arupa, what I mean is that he does not have a Prakruta Rupa. Prakrita Rupa means the one made of this Panchavautika Deha, or the one which is made of the three gunas. He is above that, no? So he is having a Swabhavika Rupa, Swarupa. His Swarupa is beyond the gunas. So Swarupa Villa Higalla. Don't think that he does not have his own form. He has a form, and when the Bhakta calls to him, he appears in the form. He has many forms in many avataras, and all these forms are also flawless and completely full of auspicious gunas. So arupa means not having a prakritik rupa. Not that he has no rupa at all, is what Prasanna Venkatadasaru explains. Gunarahita nembudu trigunatita. Ganita gunagalilla higalla. So he's saying, when I say he's gunadura, what I mean by it is that he is trigunatita. Sattva, rajas, tamo gunagalu cannot bind him. He is the binder, in the sense that he resides in Prakriti and he makes other jivas to be bound by it. Guni gunagalolage guni guna nenisuvanu guna baddhanagade gunaja punya punya unisuva brahmadi chetanake. So he is above the gunas. He is in fact inside the guna. He makes the guna to affect whatever effect is required for that jiva. It is happening because of his will. That is what I mean by gunadura, he says. Ganita gunagalilla higalla. It does not mean that he has no gunas. That is, you cannot count his gunas. In fact, he is having incountable gunas. He is given here as Udara, Ayya, Hari, Sarvothamatva, Parabrahma. All these rupas, all these gunas are Paramatma's rupa. Nirguna, Arupa, Anama, Nembaru, Swarga, Janara, Swargaja, Varada, Prasanna Venkateshage, Nama Vembudu, Hagalla. So when we say Nirguna, Arupa, Anama, We don't mean that, he says. Hagalla means whatever we are saying here, the direct literal meaning when we try to take. If we say nirguna, why does he have no guna? If you put that, the Vedas itself talk about Hari as being nirguna. Nirguna itself is a guna, right? If you say that a person, that entity Hari is nirguna, that nirguna is a guna of Paramatma. That means he has gunas. What are those gunas? They are sadgunas. Why? What is the meaning of nirguna then? Nirguna means which is not having the influence of the three gunas. So that is clarified again here and saying that he is the Varada of the Swargaja, means of Brahma. Devategalige Varaprada. He gives the Devatas Vara. Varadesha Varapradam. It is told by Acharya Madhvaru. So in all those who can give boons to others, he is the inner controller. He bestows the ability on them to give the boons. Next we go to the third one. Nama Viparinama. Narari Guttamaru Niparu Muni Suraruta ತನ್ಮರುತ್ತೇರೆ ದೆರೆದಿರುವ ಎರಡು ಸಾಸಿರ ರಸನರು ಮೃಡ ಗರುಡರು ಸ್ವರೂಪಾನುಸಾರ ನಿತ್ಯ ಸ್ಮರಿಪ ಶ್ರೀನಾಮ ಎರಡೀರೆ ವದನ ನೀರೆರಡು ಶ್ರುತಿಯ ನಾಮ ಸಿರಿಯಳುಚ್ಚರಿಸುವ ಅನಂತ ನಾಮ ಪರ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ವೆಂಕಟ ವರದ ಅನುದಿನ ವರದನು ಉದರದಿಡಿವೀರಿ ಇರಿದಿದ್ದಾರ್ಯದ ಗುಹ್ಯ ನಾಮ ನಾಮ ವಿಪರಿನಾಮ. Now he is talking about the nama, rupa and guna. Three things, three charanas are dedicated to these three things. The first one was anama. He clarified that all the namas, ananta namas belong to Paramatma, not that he has no nama. So what is that? Nama viparinama. What is the type of nama that Paramatma has? Narari Uttamaru, Nruparu, Muni, Suraru. He's telling that everyone worships that nama. They chant that nama. Paramatma's nama is glorified by Acharya Madhva. He says that that nama, Santatam Chintayet Anantam Antakale Visheshataha Anantam. Ananta itself, the name of Paramatma, is Ananta. He has no end to his gunas. He has no end to his forms. He has no end to his strength, his giving power, everything. So nama means that type of nama which is always glorified by the Nara Uttamas, by the Nripas, the kings, the Munis, the Suras, and all the Devatas worship his nama. He's telling Paramatma's nama was given by Marut Eradiruva nama. Eradiruva nama means whose nama is being given to the people who are seeking upliftment. They have to obtain the Upadesha of his nama. Yaradu Sasira Rasanama. Then after all the Devatas, Rishis, and starting from the bottom, he is going upwards to show that Hari is Sarvottama. His name is chanted by the Manushottamas, then by the kings, that is the Nripas, then the Munis, the Rishis, and then the Suras. After that, he is saying, among the Suras, the great people are named here, which is Yaradu Sasira Rasanaru, means Shesha. Mruda is Rudra. Garudaru. These Garuda Shesha Rudras chant his name. Swarupanusara Nitya Smaripa Srinama. Garuda, Rudra Devaru gives the Nama and he tells that you have to chant it to Parvati Devi. He says, no, Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama. We have to Parayana. We have to do the chanting of Ramanama, he says. Ramanamava Nudi Nudi Kama Krodava Bidi Bidi. Ramanama is to be chanted always, and Ramanama chanting is like the Sahasranama chanting, because one Nama itself has Ananta Gunas. And so he says that. So this Shesha has 1,000 tongues. Each of them has two forks, 1,000 heads. And in each tongue he has two forks. So with two forks also he is singing Paramatma's name. One name means 2,000 names. So he is, according to their Swarupa Yogyate, these Hiriya Devatas like Garuda, Shesha, Rudra chant his name and they think about his glory. And then there is the Yiradaru Shira. That means Yaradire Vadana, who has the four heads. That is Chaturmukha Brahma always sings the namas as per the Shruti, because we say no, in the Kanta of Paramatma there is the Kaustuba Mani, and that is the Swarupa of Brahma. And what does this when we describe Paramatma's throat through Acharya's shloka, he says Udgiryante Nishamyataha. Vedas are always being sung through this throat of Paramatma, through Brahma. That is why that Kaustuba is there. Here also, Dasaru is saying that he sings about the Shruti, the namas that are contained in the Shruti, that is Brahma Devru. And then Brahma means Brahma and Vayu. Siriyal Ucharipadu, Anantanama. Then Lakshmi Devi also continuously sings the praise of Paramatma through his infinite namas. Prasanna Venkata. This Prasanna Venkata Varadanu. He is the giver of the bliss, Varada. Udaradi Viri. Kirididda Arariyada Guhyanama. He has kept all the names in his stomach. And no one knows about him. No one knows about his greatness. All his namas are having Guhya Arthas. What is known to us as a nama, Rama, the same meaning that we know, Amitananda Swarupa, need not be known by Brahma. He will know much more than that in that word itself. And the same way, Sri Devi will know much more than that. And above everyone, Paramatma knows much more than that. This is true of each and every nama. Now he goes to the next one where we talk about the Rupa. ಒಂದು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾಂಡ ತುಂಬೋ ದೇವ ರೂಪ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ರೂಪದ ರೋಮರಂಧ್ರದೋಳಜಾಂಡ ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ನೂರಲ್ಲ ಹೊಂದಿಯುವುದು ಅನಂತವು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಅಜಾಂಡದೊಳ ಒಳ ಹೊರಗೆ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣ ಅಂದು ಈ ಕಾರಣವಾದೊಳೊಂದು ವಟಪತ್ರದಿ ಆನಂದನ ಸಿರಿಯ ಮೊಳೆಯನುಂಡು ಚಪ್ಪರಿದುಂಡು ಒಂದರೊಳು ಕರವಿಟ್ಟು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ವೆಂಕಟ ರೂಪ. Now he is saying this Prasanna Venkata Rupa, he took the form of the baby Krishna. And as a baby of Krishna, who was he? He was the Nanda, he was the son of, he was doing the role of Nanda and Yashoda's son. And as Yashoda's son, he was lying on her lap and drinking the milk from her breast. He's saying this Lord, who was pretending to be the small boy, who needed to be nourished by the milk of his mother. And just like all children, he used to hold on to his mother's breast with the other hand as he was sucking the milk. This is a form of Paramatma that is visualized by Prasanna Venkatadasaru in Gokula. As a small baby, he was doing this. Why does he need to do this? That is what is the question. He does this because he's the Bhakta Vatsala. So much of Preeti he had on Yashoda because Yashoda wanted to be the mother of the personality like Hari. She was doing tapas for it. And so she got the benefaction of holding him in his hand and feeding him the milk. Whereas this Paramatma, actually, how can he fit in the lap of Yashoda? How is he? Ondu Brahmanda Tumbo Deva. In one form, he is filled in this Brahmanda. You know, the Brahmanda is so vast. According to scientists, this Brahmanda, how many ever light years are passing? Like if you have 100 million light years, if you travel also, you cannot reach the end of this Brahmanda. Universe itself is so vast. The Milky Way itself is so vast. And out of that, other than the Milky Way, there are many more galaxies at very vast distances. So this whole Brahmanda itself is filled with one form of Paramatma. Mattondu Rupada Roma Randradolag Ajanda. He's telling there is one more form of Paramatma in which the Roma means that small hairs of the body. You know, we have small hairs, tiny hairs. In that the pores, in one pore also, many such Brahmandas can fit. That is one Rupa of Paramatma. Ondalla Nooralla Hondiyuvudu Ananta. In that pore of Paramatma, one Rupa, There are not just one Brahmanda or 100 Brahmandas, there are Ananta Brahmandas, he says. That is the great size of Paramatma's Vyapti, we cannot even imagine. So, ಒಂದು ಅಜಾಂಡದೊಳಗು ಒಳಹೊರಗೆ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣ. If you say, okay, he is having one form in this Brahmanda, and this Brahmanda itself can be in the pore of his another form, then what about his two forms? Are they different? No, they are not different, he says. He's saying that whatever form of Paramatma is, it is Paripurna. It is complete in itself. He is sustaining the Brahmanda through the form. Unless he enters into the Brahmanda will not be having the functions that it can do. Because all dravyam, karma, kalascha, swabhavo, jiva evacha, yadanugrata santi, na santi edupekshaya. Bhagavata says that anything can exist. Dravya means the world is filled with lots of things, no? All these mannu, neeru, benki, gali, akasha, the panchabhutas, they are the dravyas. Kala, with the time only the Brahmanda is existing. So that everything exists only because of his anugraha. They cannot exist otherwise. So Paripurna. Andu, that Paramatma, who after he swallowed the entire Brahmanda into his stomach, he was like a small baby Krishna on the Aladele. This is the form that he showed to Markandeya, who wanted to see the Pralaya of how the Pralaya is. He had done lot of tapas for that. So Paramatma gave him the vision of Pralaya, and in that this Aladele Krishna. And that same Krishna, he is now sleeping on Yashoda's lap and drinking milk and holding her with another hand. This is the form of Paramatma as Krishna. But Krishna was lying on the lap doesn't mean that his form is so small. His form is completely vast. His form is much larger than the universe. Not just one universe, hundreds and thousands of universes can fit in one Roma of Paramatma's form. Now the form has been discussed. Next he goes to the gunas. We see that in the second charna. In the first charna itself, the Anama, Arupa and Gunadura came. In the second charna, he described what they were. What is the meaning of Anama? What is the meaning of Anama and all was told. And then in the third charna, the form of the Nama was discussed. In the fourth charna, the Rupa was discussed. Now the last charna talks about the gunas. Karacharana, Naka, Kesha, Shira, Chakshu, Shravanadi, Sarva Avayavagalinda, Sarva Rupagalinda, Siriyarasa, Swagata Beda Vidura. His guna is Swagata Beda Vidura, Swagata Beda Vivarjita. Means in one form of his, we can see that he has hands, he has legs, he has Naka, he has Kesha, he has Shira, Chakshu, Kannu, Shravana, Kivi, Sarva Avayavagal. All these avayavas are all paripurna. That means there is no difference between his eye and his nose. For us, what happens with the eye, what we do, the work we see. With the nose, we breathe. But we cannot do interchange of these two. But Paramatma's avayavas are not like us. Ours are designed for certain work and only that can be done, that too with the grace of the Devatas and Paramatma. But Paramatma's avayavas are not like that. Swagata Veda Vidura means in his own self, there is no difference. His entire self is Jnanananda Maya. He is saying Siriyarasa Swagata Veda Vidura. ಹೀಗರಿಯದೆ ಐದು ಭೇದ ಅಸತ್ಯವೆಂಬ ಪಾಮರರಿಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯ ಅಂದ ನರಕವೇ ಸ್ಥಿರವಯ್ಯ ಸಿರಿ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ ವೆಂಕಟ ವರದಾನಂತಾಭಿಧ ವರ ಬಿಂಬೋತ್ತಮನಾಗಿ ಪೊರೆವ ಪ್ರತಿಬಿಂಬವ ಸಿರಿ ಅರಸ ಭೇದ ವಿದೂರ. So he is telling this Panchabheda is told as asatya by some people, but that is not true. Why? Because in Panchabheda we learn about this, that the jiva beda, jiva jada beda, jada beda, jada paramatma beda. So the jiva is different from paramatma, jiva is different from jada. So what happens now? Jiva is different from paramatma means paramatma is completely different. What is that difference that he has? All his avayavas are of Swarupananda. Whereas jivas, what are we have the form here that we have, they are not like that. Our form is jada actually. The body is jada, but the chetana inside makes it charged. When the chetana leaves, the body becomes jada. So this jiva jada is different. Jiva is different from Jada, and that Jiva is instilled in this Jada through the grace of Paramatma. So these three entities among themselves, they have five differences. No, this five differences itself explains Paramatma's greatness. He is completely different from this because he does not require any Jiva or Jada support to exist, to do any activity or to know. Whereas the Jiva requires the support of the Deha to do sadhana, and he requires the support of Paramatma to be in the Deha and do sadhana. So all these, and Jada of course has nothing to do. It is only energized by the Chetana. So knowing the Panchabheda, we should understand Paramatma's supremacy and that he is totally independent. Then he is the one who can bestow. Varada Ananta Vidha. Ananta Vidha Vara. He is telling this Paramatma, he is Ananta. And in all the forms of jivas that you see, he is having one Bimba Rupa. His form is there in everything, and everything gets his form because of Paramatma's form inside it. Then so many Ananta Rupas he has. But each of these Rupas are non-different from his Mula Rupa. They are non-different from his any Rupa. And all his Rupas are completely auspicious and flawless. So the Bimbottamanagi forever. Once we understand this and do the Upasana that he is inside us as the Bimba, then he will protect us, he will uplift us. Pratibimbava forever. Siddhyarasa Veda Vidura. That Paramatma is free of all the differences among himself, in his own self. He has no Veda. Swagata Veda Vivarjita and Antaryami and is Vyapta in the entire Brahmanda. All these forms of Paramatma are same. They have completely auspicious attributes and are flawless. So this particular Suladhi is not having any jate. This is described in the book that has been published. So now we will conclude the Suladhi and offer it. कुरुवंतर्गत भारती रमण मुख्य प्राणांतर्गत श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण प्रेरण्य लक्ष्मी नारायण प्रीत्यर्थम श्री कृष्णार्पणम हरे श्रीनिवास।